Hello friends, welcome to this video. Today is sort of going to be a follow-up to another video that I did recently. This video in which I judged all of the new designs for the Dungeons & Dragons dragons that came out in 2024. And if you saw that video, you would know that I had some beef with some of the designs, especially this one. I said the new silver dragon looks more like a car than a dragon, and I was butthurt because the old design for the silver dragon was my favorite dragon that I have been drawing basically since I was like 10. This is what it used to look like. In my opinion, the most dragon-looking dragon I could think of at the ripe age of 10. I think mostly due to their magnificent frill. And I fell in love with it. I also thought that the silver dragons had the best personality of all of the metallic dragons, but that was probably biased because I definitely thought it looked the coolest. Nowadays, I do definitely see the appeal of the coppers playing tricks, at least like that's what my reference book says. Like I said before, I am no D&D expert. Anyway, I mean like I play a little bit. I'm just a player. In any case, the new dragon design, yeah, I didn't like it. I definitely missed the frills on the face, which I guess maybe they took away so that it wouldn't look so similar to some of the other new designs. Like, come on, man, that's like the silver. That's its like characteristic. In addition to this whole dragon looking like a car instead of a dragon, they gave it a goatee. What if it's a girl? Anyway, I mean, like, girls can have goatees, but like, I just don't like this design. The only saving grace for me, the long legs remind me of my own very tall, weirdly proportioned dog. Would you believe me if I told you he jumped up there from the ground to like basically my chest height? This guy is crazy. In any case, I set out with this piece to right some wrongs, okay? I wanted to do the silver dragon justice with its redesign as opposed to making it look like a car with a goatee. In the end, do I think my design was particularly better? No. I think if I had gone with my original idea of giving the silver dragon a lot more metallic feathers, that probably would have been pretty cool. Maybe they didn't do that because they thought maybe that would look too similar to the white, but I feel like the white looks more polar berry and the scales look more like fur than feathers. So I was gonna make the silver with like feathers, not all over the body, but like, you know, a bit more thickly than I actually ended up doing the feathers. In any case, I ultimately didn't do that because I had no confidence that I'd be able to do a good job. So I backtracked and played it safe, and I do regret it. But I don't know, you guys have to let me know what you think. Feathers, yes. More feathers. Feathers, no. I know one of the main things that the creators or the people who made the new designs were trying to do was make the dragons more unique from each other and each seem like its own character instead of just another creature, which I think is really cool. And I think for most of the dragons, probably including the silver, that's extremely successful. They did a good job, in my opinion. But also, like, preface that with, I don't have a huge history with D&D, so some people who, like, are thinking about the history of D&D might think differently. But anyway, just as far as character design goes, I think they did a great job. And they probably did a great job making the silver dragon look like its own thing, different from the rest, more unique. But I think if they had gone with metallic silver feathers, that would have done the job, you know? Rather than making it look like a Mazda. I don't know why I said Mazda. I have like no relation to Mazda at all. I've never, like, no one in my family has ever owned one. But for some reason, I just get those vibes. I'm sorry I keep repeating that I think it looks like a car. Am I crazy? Is this just me? I swear to God, this dragon looks like a car to me, the new design. Okay, I'll stop. I mean, like, why would it have plates on its face like that? Like armor around the jaw? But like the rest of the neck is still vulnerable. It's not like those armor plates are in like covering the entire neck or covering like a specific weak spot, I would think. They also give me operculum vibes. Do y'all know what an operculum is? Is that like plate that covers the gills of a fish. They definitely also went very sailfish with the tail. Okay, in the new design, this dragon still has that like fin that goes from the top of its head down to the tip of its tail. And in this new design version, it looks very sailfish or like swordfish to me. And I think that's what they were going for. And actually the face also then reminds me of a fish. So I wonder if they were kind of going for those vibes. I know the bronze dragon, I believe the new bronze also looks like a fish. I wonder if they took some inspiration that way. Oh my gosh, I also double checked. The old design for the silver also kind of almost has this like point at the front of its mouth that is kind of reminiscent of a beak. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the feathers were right there. The metallic feathers were right there, people. It was ready. It was perfect. No, I'm just kidding. Clearly, I'm being very biased in these statements. I hope you don't hold them against me. Like I said, I do not think that my idea, even my feather idea, was necessarily better than what they actually came up with. I'm just saying, what if, What if that they did more of a bird direction, not like structurally, but just in the frills or with accents. Like the white kind of almost looks like it has a ruff of fur on its neck. Anyway, in any case, I did like some of the almost leaf-like shapes of some of the like neck scales of the new design. I just noticed those because like while I've been recording this voiceover, I'm like looking back and forth at the designs. And I wonder like, if that was emphasized, that would be so cool. Maybe bringing like that elegant leaf shape into more of the scales. That's also showing a lot of my bias though, because I think I've mentioned in some of my other videos that I like my dragons to look like elegant. I guess it's kind of girly, but that's always been my thing with dragons. Like the way my brain works is like dragons are just so cool and so awesome that they can't be ugly. Like they have to be pretty. Although now that I'm older, I do appreciate like a nasty, scary looking dragon, but it also has to look like badass. Like I used to not appreciate the black dragon at all, but nowadays I do appreciate the uniqueness of the design and the fact that it looks scary. Like it doesn't look like ugly scary. To me, it looks pretty scary. Is that weird? Like, this is a hear me out moment, but I actually think that the new designs, part of that is because the artist that did the illustrations for like the character sheets for the dragons is one of my favorite artists, especially for dragons and creatures. And I think all of the dragons ended up looking overall aesthetically pretty. There's nothing like bulbous or like malformed. They all very much look like predators and like powerful, and like their ornamentation makes sense for their lifestyle. And it's not just like there's these random tentacles coming out of the face. Okay. I know that the gold dragon has those in the old design for a reason. I know that. I appreciate that. But at the same time, do I appreciate the new design? Yes, I do. I'm so sorry to the gold dragon lovers. Like, I don't really have that strong of an opinion. I'm just messing around. I hope you know that. In any case, actually talking about art now, this is where I was trying to figure out how to make the metallic dragon look like metal. I wasn't really achieving it beforehand. I think I got close in some areas, and then I did this little study to kind of try to figure out like, okay, but actually what do I do and how do the forms work? Because when I was painting the actual design, like the sketch itself was already so complicated and I kind of got lost. I lost some of the forms, and at least for me, I really have to understand how the forms work in order to make the like highlights and shadows and like core shadows and reflection happen with the metal. I think it gets better than it was but I don't think I achieved the metallic look that I really wanted to, but I got closer than I thought I would. Yeah, it's really interesting. I noticed that, so I try to put a lot more detail into this painting than I've ever put into any of my paintings before. I don't usually draw scales. I usually just go very rough. I actually don't have a lot of patience with drawing and painting. And so making a drawing that takes more than like one session is, I just, and also I have this thing where like when I am doing the drawing, I don't want to stop and take a break when I've been drawing for a couple hours and I am done. I just like want to finish. I just want to finish. I just want to be done with it. I get very impatient and I rush the ending. This one, I really tried not to do that. So, and I wanted to like make it look a little bit more realism than the more painterly style that I usually do. So I actually had a lot of like lizard and snake references pulled up while I was doing the painting. And those were really helpful, except I noticed that the lighting that I did based off of those references made the dragon look more like stone than metal. It was really interesting. And I learned that like, I didn't go to art school. I'm completely self-taught. And I feel like this art piece was my like epiphany of what rendering materials is. Instead of just like shading forms, using value to denote form, it's like we're using lighting and value and shading to denote the material of what we are trying to paint. The material of metal reacts to light very differently than the material of lizard scales. And that's what made me kind of have to redo quite a bit of the lighting, because while I was pleased with the form and the kind of level of realism to semi-realism that I was able to achieve, I didn't get the material right. This might not sound all that interesting, especially if you're not super into like art and painting like I am, but I kind of feel like I've been seeing in 2D and now I can see in 3D what I'm understanding about shading form versus material, or like painting form versus painting like surfaces and materials and textures. So while I don't think that the final result ultimately achieved a metallic look over the entire dragon, I think probably parts of the top of the head and face and the front arm and like shoulder area look kind of metallic. The rest doesn't. It looks more like stone. And so obviously I still have more to learn, but even though that part wasn't like 100% successful, I'm still super happy with what I have learned from this piece. And this, like, I was also very proud of myself that I like didn't rush this one as much. I painted it in multiple sessions. Yeah, I did kind of like have a day there where I just painted for hours instead of stopping when I should have, but I am at least happy that like I have eyes. I know that I slacked on detail in like the body. Part of that was an artistic choice, okay, to like bring the focus of a viewer more towards the face where there's like more fun detail to look at, and then less towards the body where I don't feel like you should care as much about that. But for me, this is probably the most detailed like drawing or painting that I have ever done in my entire life, and I'm really proud of that. My tracked time for this piece is 9 hours and 57 minutes, which is kind of crazy because most of my pieces, the like tracked time is going to be 3 hours. Okay, I double checked. It's actually more like 6 hours for most of them, but it's kind of funny because like in some of them, it's just like a full body dragon. That took me 6 hours. In another one, it's like a dragon in a background, but not like full body, just a face. And that also took me 6 hours. It's like I have a time limit on how much my brain can think about one painting, which I know that about myself. And I want to break through that because I think it's really impeding me in my progress of learning how to paint. Anyway, as I'm trying to figure out what to do with the tail, yes, I at least put feathers on the tail. I hope you can kind of see like why it potentially maybe looks a little bit like metal. Honestly, the key things are like metal is super reflective. And usually when you're painting, there's kind of like a rule where you don't want to use like straight white for honestly anything except for like highlights in the eyes. But with metal, metal is shiny. It will go white, and that goes a long way into making it look metallic. Metal will also go dark, like almost black dark. And metal is super reflective, so on the other side of your shadow, you're gonna get a reflection. Wow, okay, that footage ran out way faster than I thought it was going to. So here are some images of my design, my painting, versus the like original and new silver dragon. And you can let me know what you think. Do you like the new silver dragon design that looks like a car? It definitely gets like huge points for uniqueness. And I think if we're talking about principles of design, it definitely wins out over my version. My version is very generic. Like I said, I copped out from all the feathers. But how did I do on that rendering? I drew scales. I never do scales. What did you think of the old silver? Did you like how it used to look? Did you wish that that one had feathers too? Or would you go in a completely different direction and like lean into the fish side? In any case, let me know what you think. Do you have any questions about my art process? Let me know. And would you like me to redesign some more of the Dungeons and Dragons or other pop culture dragons? I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it to the end, you're an absolute trooper. I hope this video gave you some entertainment or maybe some new knowledge about dragons or art that you didn't know about before. And yeah, I hope you're having a good day, evening, whatever, wherever you are, and I'll see you around.